The Exile's Edge. The transmission cut through every screen on Earth simultaneously, interrupting daily life across the planet. No emergency broadcast warning, no diplomatic courtesy call, just the cold, emotionless face of High Arbiter Kexnar of the Galactic Alliance appearing before humanity. By unanimous vote of the Alliance Council, Earth and all human colonies are hereby expelled from the Galactic Alliance, effective immediately. All treaties are nullified, all trade routes closed, all diplomatic channels terminated. Any human vessel found in Alliance space will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. The message ended as abruptly as it began. No explanation, no appeals process, nothing. In her office at Earth Defense Command Headquarters, Commander Elena Reeves slammed her fist against her desk, cracking the surface. As head of Earth's Intelligence Division, she had spent years warning the civilian government about the Alliance's growing unease with humanity. But no one had expected this. Total excommunication without even the pretense of due process. "They didn't even have the decency to give us a reason," said Admiral Jackson, his weathered face appearing on Elena's private comm channel. 200 years of Alliance membership, fighting their wars, saving their species from extinction, and they vote us out like we're nothing. Elena's eyes narrowed. "They gave us no reason because the real one would expose them. Patch me through to the secure archives." "Admiral." Authorization Reeves Omega-9. Minutes later, she was staring at classified intelligence that confirmed her worst fears. The Alliance hadn't expelled Earth because of any violation. They had expelled Earth because they were terrified of what humanity was becoming. "Look at these minutes from their closed session," Elena said, forwarding the files to the Admiral. "They're xenobiologists' project that at our current rate of advancement, humans would surpass the technological capabilities of the founding species within 50 years. We're evolving too quickly, adapting their technologies and improving them faster than they can keep up." The Admiral's face darkened as he scanned the documents. "So rather than compete with us, they voted to cut us off. They thought they were containing a threat," Elena replied, her voice cold. "They've made the biggest mistake in their 10,000-year history." 3 days of diplomatic chaos followed. Earth's ambassadors found themselves physically escorted from Alliance stations. Human traders were stranded as their ships were impounded. Colonies beyond Sol had their supply lines severed overnight. The civilian government scrambled for solutions, begging for dialogue that never came. In the background, Commander Reeves was already implementing Protocol Omega, Earth's long-hidden contingency plan for exactly this scenario. "We've been preparing for this possibility for decades," she told the Emergency Council in a bunker beneath Geneva. "The Alliance thinks Exile will break us, force us to come crawling back under whatever terms they dictate. They expect us to beg." President Kyra Chen looked up from the holographic display showing Earth's suddenly precarious position. "What do you propose instead, Commander?" Elena's smile was sharp as a blade. "We make them regret ever knowing we existed." The council chamber erupted in protests and questions, but Elena raised her hand and continued. "Not through violence, through absence, through making ourselves so completely self-sufficient that they realize too late what they've thrown away." She activated a holographic display showing a project code named PHODNIX. "The Alliance depends on our innovation, our adaptability. They've been stealing and repurposing human ingenuity for decades while pretending to be our benefactors. Now we cut them off completely." "How?" asked the Minister of Defense. "We activate the dormant protocols in every piece of human-designed technology we've ever shared with them," Elena said. "And then we disappear so thoroughly they'll never find us again." Project Phoenix went live within hours. Across Alliance space, systems began glitching. Nothing catastrophic. Elena had insisted on that point. No life support failures, no navigation disasters. Just efficiency drops, processing delays, authentication errors. Every piece of technology containing human innovation began operating at minimal capacity. Meanwhile, Earth initiated the second phase. The Great Disappearing. Wormhole gates connecting Sol to Alliance networks were systematically dismantled. Communication relays were reconfigured to emit false signals. Earth's digital signature was erased from the Galactic network, replaced with cascading encryptions that made tracking impossible. Admiral Jackson leaned forward. "You made your choice 5 years ago when you cast Earth out. Why should we care what happens to the Alliance now?" Trennar's skin flushed with the blue patterns that indicated Arcturian distress. "Because despite what my father and the Council did, many of us valued humanity's place in the galactic community. We need you, not as subjects, not as junior partners, but as equals." Kai Wong, Earth's diplomatic chief, had remained silent until now. "You misunderstand our position," he said calmly. "We're not here to negotiate Earth's return to the Alliance. Earth has no interest in rejoining a system that feared our potential so much they exiled us without due process." "Then why answer our call at all?" Talos asked. Alina's expression remained neutral. "Because humanity has never been motivated by vengeance. We didn't sabotage your systems out of spite. We simply removed our ongoing contributions. The technologies are failing because they were designed to evolve, to be continuously improved. Without human ingenuity driving that evolution, they're reverting to basic functions. We're offering something different," Kai continued. "Not membership in your alliance, but partnership with those who recognize the value of cooperation. Earth has thrived in isolation, but we haven't abandoned our belief in the power of diverse perspectives." Elena activated a holographic display showing Earth's dimensional technology. "We've developed capabilities the Alliance would have forbidden. We've solved problems your species deemed unsolvable. We've charted paths through subspace that make traditional warp travel obsolete." The alien representatives stared in astonishment at the technical specifications. 5 years of unrestricted human innovation had produced technologies that would have taken Alliance species centuries to develop under their careful plotting approach to advancement. "So what are you proposing?" Trennar asked finally. "A new beginning," Elena answered. "Earth will return to normal space, but not as supplicants seeking readmission to your alliance. We'll establish the Sol Cooperative, open to any species that wishes to engage with humanity as genuine equals. We'll share our advancements with those who share with us. We'll trade with those who respect our sovereignty." "And the alliance?" Talos asked. Admiral Jackson answered this time. "Can adapt or continue to decline. That's no longer our concern." 3 months later, Earth executed Project Lazarus. The dimensional anchors activated simultaneously across former Alliance space, creating a network of stable pathways between dimensions. In a controlled process that demonstrated humanity's mastery of technologies the Alliance had feared, Earth and its colonies phased back into normal space, not in their original locations, but in carefully selected star systems that offered strategic advantages. The Sol Cooperative was formally established, with Earth at its center and 17 former Alliance worlds as founding members. Within weeks, applications for membership had been received from another 30 species, including several that had never been permitted full Alliance participation. High Arbiter Kexnar watched the developments with growing alarm. The Alliance Council, once the supreme authority in the galaxy, now controlled barely 40% of its former territory. His son's defection to the human cause had been a personal blow, but the political ramifications were far worse. Many younger Arcturians saw Trennar as a visionary rather than a traitor. In a final, desperate move, Kexnar ordered the remnants of the Alliance fleet to take up positions near Earth's new location, a show of force meant to intimidate the upstart humans and their allies. The response came not in the form of military confrontation, but as a galaxy-wide broadcast from director Elena Reeves. To the citizens of all worlds, 5 years ago, the Alliance banished humanity because they feared our potential. They believed isolation would weaken us. Instead, it freed us to evolve beyond the limitations they imposed. We return now, not seeking conflict, but offering a different vision. A cooperative of species united by mutual respect rather than hierarchical control. To High Arbiter Kexnar, and the Alliance Council. Your fleet deployment has been noted. Be aware that Earth's defensive capabilities now include dimensional shift technology. Any act of aggression will not end in battle but in your irrelevance. Your ship's systems, built with human innovation, continue to degrade. Your economies, once strengthened by our adaptability, continue to falter. We offer you not threats but clarity. The galaxy has changed. The future belongs to those willing to embrace progress rather than fear it. Earth extends an open hand to all species who share this vision, including the Arcturians, should you choose a new path forward. You cast us out. We accept your decision. But remember this, you needed us far more than we ever needed you. By the time you realize your mistake, we'll be beyond your reach. Do not attempt to follow. Humanity walks its own path now. As the Alliance warships approached Earth orbit, their sensors detected a massive energy buildup, unlike anything in their records. Panicked commanders ordered weapons locked on the source, but it was already too late. In a flash of light that momentarily outshone the sun, Earth and its moon simply shifted, not destroyed, not moved through conventional space, but phased into a dimensional pocket that human mathematicians had discovered and Alliance scientists had never dreamed possible. Where Earth had been, the Alliance fleet found nothing but empty space and a small beacon broadcasting a final message in all languages. You feared what we might become. Now you'll never know. Earth has left the Alliance. Permanently. The Silent Vengeance. 5 years passed in Earth's self-imposed exile. In dimensional pocket D-397, humanity flourished in ways that would have terrified the Alliance. Without restrictions on research, without bureaucratic oversight from alien species whose caution stemmed from millennia of technological stagnation, human ingenuity exploded. The Phoenix space platform, originally Earth's emergency refuge, had grown into a sprawling complex stretching from Earth to Luna. Manufacturing centers produced technologies previously deemed too destabilizing by Alliance standards. Research universities tackled questions the Alliance had declared forbidden for safety reasons. Commander Elena Reeves, now director of Earth Defense Command, stood on the observation deck of EDC headquarters, watching the stars. They weren't the same stars visible from old Earth. The dimensional pocket created its own unique cosmic backdrop, but humans had adapted, charting new constellations and finding beauty in their isolation. Status report on Operation Echo. She asked Admiral Jackson, who had joined her at the viewport. The Ghost Fleet is operating at full capacity, he replied. We've established observation posts at all former Alliance junctions. Their systems continue to degrade without our technological input. Their economies are in free fall. Elena nodded, satisfaction evident in her posture. And Project Lazarus? On schedule. The dimensional anchors are stable. When activated, they'll allow us to phase back into normal space at any coordinates we choose. We can return to the galaxy on our terms, not theirs. Elena studied the holographic display, showing the state of the former Alliance territories. The galactic power that had expelled humanity was fracturing. Without Earth's innovations driving their economies, without human adaptability solving their technical problems, old rivalries between species had resurfaced. Trade disputes had escalated into border conflicts. The unified front that had judged humanity too dangerous had splintered into competing factions. They never understood what they had in us, Elena said quietly. They saw our ambition as threatening rather than complementary. They feared our questions instead of embracing our curiosity. And now, Jackson asked, now they learn what happens when you cast out the innovators, Elena replied. Phase 2 begins tonight. Across former Alliance space, the technological regression accelerated. Systems that had merely glitched now failed entirely. Starship engines designed by human engineers shut down mid-flight, safely entering orbit around the nearest habitable world, but refusing to restart. Medical technologies reverted to basic functions, still preserving life, but without the advanced capabilities Alliance species had grown dependent upon. On the Arcturian homeworld, High Arbiter Kexnar faced an unprecedented crisis. Public support for the Alliance government had collapsed as citizens faced daily hardships stemming from technological failures. Reports from military commanders were equally grim. Nearly 40% of the fleet was stranded in various star systems, unable to maintain warp capabilities. How is this possible? Kexnar demanded of his science council. The humans have been gone for 5 years. How can their absence still be crippling us? The chief scientist, a Medusan with crystalline appendages, displayed a holographic model of an Alliance warp core. We've discovered dormant code within all human design technology. It's not sabotage in the traditional sense. There are no destructive subroutines. The systems are simply expiring, returning to baseline function without the ongoing innovation that humans provided. Can it be fixed? Not without understanding the underlying principles the humans developed. And those principles evolved rapidly during our partnership. Without access to their current research, we're effectively trying to reverse engineer technologies that are now generations behind whatever they've developed in isolation. Kexnar dismissed the council and retreated to his private chambers. The decision to banish Earth had seemed so logical at the time. Contain the potential threat before it grew unmanageable. The Alliance had survived for 10,000 years by carefully managing technological development, ensuring no single species gained too much advantage. Humans had threatened that balance with their reckless pace of innovation. Now the Alliance was paying the price for that decision. Kexnar activated his secure communication channel to contact the one group he had once considered enemies, the dissenters who had opposed Earth's banishment. From the bridge of the EDS Prometheus, Captain Sofia Martinez watched her stealth fleet materialize briefly in normal space, just long enough to deploy the dimensional anchors at strategic points throughout former Alliance territory. The anchors, technological marvels that would have been forbidden under Alliance restrictions, created stable pathways between Earth's dimensional pocket and normal space. Anchor deployment complete, her executive officer reported. All units functioning at optimal capacity. The network will be operational within 30 hours. Sophia nodded her approval. Prepare for dimensional shift. Let's get home before the Alliance realizes we were ever here. As her ship prepared to return to pocket dimension, D-397, sensors detected an unusual transmission. A tightly focused beam aimed directly at the coordinates where Earth had once been. It carried an old human encryption key that hadn't been used since before the banishment. Captain, her communications officer called. I think someone's trying to contact Earth. On a remote outpost at the edge of Alliance space, a coalition of dissenting species had established haven, a sanctuary for those who had opposed Earth's banishment from the beginning. Led by Professor Talos, a Centaurian sinoanthropologist who had spent decades studying human culture, the Haven Coalition had grown from a handful of academic dissenters to a significant political movement. The transmission has been sent, his assistant reported, using the old Earth diplomatic frequencies as you specified. Talos nodded, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a Centaurian expression of hope. Now we wait. If the humans are monitoring Alliance space at all, they'll detect it. And if they respond, then we offer them the truth that many of us never wanted them cast out, that many of us recognize the Alliance made a catastrophic mistake, and that we want to establish relations independent of the crumbling Alliance structure. His assistant looked nervous. The High Arbiter has branded such actions as treason. The High Arbiter is presiding over the collapse of a 10,000-year-old institution, Talos replied. History will judge who the real traitors were, those who reached out to humanity or those who banished them out of fear. Their conversation was interrupted by a proximity alert. A ship had appeared in orbit around Haven. A ship unlike any Alliance design. It simply materialized, without dropping out of warp, without any transition energy signature. One moment empty space, the next moment a sleek vessel of unmistakably human design. On the command deck's main screen, a face appeared, human, female, with the determined expression Talos had always found both fascinating and slightly intimidating in the species. "This is Director Elena Reeves of Earth Defense Command. We received your transmission. State your purpose." The meeting took place on neutral ground, an abandoned mining facility on a rogue planet drifting between star systems. Elena brought a small delegation: Admiral Jackson, Captain Martins, and Earth's newly appointed diplomatic director, Kai Wong. The Haven Coalition sent Professor Talos, representatives from 3 former Alliance species, and a surprising addition: a young Arcturian who introduced himself as Trenar, son of High Arbiter Kexnar. "My father doesn't know I'm here," the young Arcturian said immediately. "But I've seen the classified reports. The Alliance is collapsing without human innovation. What began as technological regression has cascaded into political instability. 3 member species have already declared independence." Elena studied him carefully. "You're taking a significant risk by contacting us." "The greater risk would be allowing the Alliance to collapse completely," Talos interjected. "Without stable governance, ancient conflicts between our species could reignite. We're already seeing border skirmishes in systems where Alliance peacekeeping fleets can no longer maintain presence." Admiral Jackson oversaw the deployment of the Ghost Fleet, vessels equipped with experimental stealth technology that bent light around their hulls, making them virtually invisible. They positioned themselves at the former wormhole junctions, silent sentinels ensuring no Alliance probe could re-establish contact. "They'll try to find us," Elena told the Admiral as they watched Earth's technological barricade rise. "Their economies are already feeling the effects of our absence. The Trellex homeworld is reporting manufacturing slowdowns of 40%. The Vorticai financial markets dropped 30 points when our tech started glitching." "Let them look," Jackson replied. "They won't like what they find." Elena nodded toward a display showing the progress of Project Prometheus, humanity's most closely guarded secret. Not faster than light travel as the Alliance knew it, but something far more revolutionary: dimensional shift technology that would move Earth itself into a pocket dimension, accessible only through coordinates that would be impossible to calculate without human mathematical models. "They thought banishment was a punishment," Elena said quietly. "We're going to show them it was liberation." On Alliance worlds, the initial satisfaction of removing the troublesome humans quickly soured as systems built with human ingenuity began failing. The Alliance's ruling species, the Arcturians, dispatched technical teams to reverse engineer the suddenly degraded technologies, only to discover hidden complexity they couldn't decipher. High Arbiter Kexnar faced mounting pressure from member worlds whose economies had grown dependent on human innovation. "Find them," he ordered his intelligence division. "Whatever they're planning, whatever they're building in isolation, find it and stop it." But humanity had already vanished behind walls of their own making. The first Alliance scout ships that attempted to approach Sol system found only emptiness. The planet still orbited, but Earth's technological signature had disappeared completely. Probes sent through the debris of former wormhole gates emerged thousands of light years off course, damaged and disoriented. On Earth, citizens watched the stars with new determination. Initial panic had given way to resolve. Alliance luxuries were replaced with human ingenuity. Citizens rallied around a new purpose: to build something better than the Alliance had ever imagined possible. In her command center beneath Mount Erebus, Commander Reeves reviewed the progress reports from research divisions worldwide. Free from Alliance restrictions on technological development, human scientists were making breakthroughs daily. Quantum computing had leaped forward 3 generations. Medical nanites had evolved beyond anything the Alliance permitted. And Project Prometheus was weeks ahead of schedule. "They thought cutting us off would cripple us," Elena said to her team. "They never understood what makes humans different. We don't just survive isolation. We thrive in it." A communications officer approached with an update. "Commander, we're detecting Alliance probe signals at the edge of Neptune's orbit. They're still looking for us." Elena studied the tactical display, watching the alien devices searching blindly for traces of humanity. "Let them look," she said. "We're already gone, and when we return, it won't be as supplicants." Across Earth, the transformation continued. Cities adapted to energy independence. Orbital platforms were repurposed for the coming dimensional shift. And in laboratories worldwide, scientists worked feverishly on technologies the Alliance had forbidden, not weapons of war, but tools of independence that would ensure humanity never needed the Alliance again. In the Geneva bunker, President Chen addressed the unified Earth government. "For 2 centuries, we believed the Alliance elevated us. Today we recognize the truth. They limited us. They feared our potential. Now we will realize that potential, not in anger, but in determination. When Project Prometheus is complete, we won't just have independence from the Alliance. We'll have freedom they cannot imagine." As if in response, alerts sounded across command centers worldwide. Alliance warships have been detected entering the outer Sol system, a show of force meant to intimidate Earth into reversing whatever technological sabotage they'd implemented. Admiral Jackson viewed the incoming vessels with calm detachment. "They're too late," he told Elena. "Project Prometheus reaches activation threshold in 72 hours. They won't find anything but empty space." Elena nodded. "Send them our parting message." Throughout Alliance space, on every communication channel, on every trading floor and diplomatic hub, a single message appeared in the ancient Arcturian script of binding declarations.